Good morning, afternoon, evening from wherever you are listening. Welcome back to the Breakevens podcast. My name is Corey, and as always, with me is Jack.
Hello.
Jack, round 13 is over. The second round of the bye is done. For
Thank
me,
God.
it was the hardest bye for me. We did have some surprise packets this week, some big scores from people who have had a role change recently, so we'll get into that. And we saw some really low scores, team-wise and player-wise. But we're headed into the final bye round. Thank God for that. As always, thank you all again for your support. More people on Twitter. I've been inactive the last couple of days on the Breakevens Twitter, and I came back today with 14 notifications saying this person's followed. So welcome to all the new people.
Legends.
That's it. Welcome. You can find us on Twitter at Breakevens Pod, and we're also on YouTube. Search the Breakevens and same as Apple Podcast. So in today's podcast, we're going to review last round's games as always, give you our hot and colds for the last week for the season. I'll get into that later. We'll go into all the break-evens, our personal teams, what we're looking to do trade-wise, and we'll go through the break-even side, which is starting to pick up some pace, and I'll go through the VC and C options. All right, so Jack, get straight into it. How did your team go this week?
Well, spot on last week. I had 12 people play.
Yeah, it's sticker.
I scored for the amount of people I had play a decent score, but it's a shocking score. I had 1420. Get rid of the one with 420 blazing it. I dropped 11,000 ranks. Now I'm up to 24,000. That just shows one bye week. I've gone from 9,000 to 24,000.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Scores from players I had were actually pretty good. Obviously Mitch Owens got concussed, which absolutely sucked. Pat Lipinski did the Pat Lipinski, didn't run for a whole game after working his ass off.
Didn't get on the field in the first quarter.
Oh, mate, people complain about Will Brodie not getting through the banner. Let me tell you, Pat Lipinski doesn't know where the white line is.
Bailey Smith does, though.
Butters. Hey?
Bailey Smith knows where the white line is, though.
Oh, he loves the white line. I've heard he's been hanging out with Nadia Bartel lately. We could talk about Butters and Houston not turning up, but the scores for that game were very low all round, so it's not like they were bad. But yeah, the 12 players play really hurt.
Yep. Trades this week?
Yeah, I've done the 2.
Yep.
I think I explained it a bit last week. I did the 2 trades, had the 360k left. I've gone straight Robbie McComb to Rory Laird. There's my full primo mid.
Yep.
Done and dusted, not being touched. And then I've gone Maurice down to Juddy, Chris Judd Clark. He's already better than Chris Judd. He's playing this week, so he'll start cashing next week. And he looked very good for the Tigers Thursday night. It was Thursday.
Yep.
My vice captain and captain for this week, I'm going Paddy Cripps into Tuk Tuk.
Yep.
My reasoning is round 1, Richmond Carlton, Patrick Cripps scored about 274 points in the first half. So just basing off that history with Richmond, especially this year where it counts the most, he was on fire. So that's why I'm going him and Tuk Tuk because I'm pretty sure they've got a pretty easy game this week. with a incoming a midfield battle, and it's Tuk Tuk.
Yeah. How many trades do you have left, and is your team full primo?
So I've got 11 trades left, one boost.
Yep.
Still got a boost. It's all primo but Paddy McCartan.
So yeah, one.
So I need to upgrade, but I thought I can hold this week. He's got about a 50 break even.
Yep.
Hopefully he can get like a 90 or something, jump to 400k, so the upgrade's a bit easier for me.
Nice. Awesome.
But apart from that, I am full primo.
Yeah, well,
With
11,
Lipinski.
11 trades in the bank. That's really good. You've obviously done well to hold those trades and try and get full primo as quick as possible. Unfortunately, last week we've only had the 12 players that sort of let your rank slip a little bit, but you've done.
Doesn't help. I've got 14 Bulldogs players, eh?
Yeah, probably not. All right, so I'll go into my team. I scored 1,762. That was from 16 players. So as you said, Jack, for the amount of players, I'll take that. I moved up 1,147 ranks. I'm now ranked 22,800 flat. So I'm in front of Jack. I was 13 thousand spots behind him. Now I'm 2,000 spots in front of him.
And that's because of last week.
It is. And look, I can't complain too much about my team. As you already said, Butters had a score in the 80s. So did Will Brodie. I didn't watch that Freo game, but a lot of people just said it was just a inefficient game for Brodie, so it's nothing to worry about with Fife back. But he scored an 80 as well. And the real only downs for me last week was Owens, who got concussed with 26, as Jack said. And I bought in Jackson Callow, who only scored a 28. He was just to sort of make up numbers and get some extra cash. So he'll just sit on the bench after the buys. But those were my only two real bad scores. I'm actually looking at doing no trades this week. Just because all my rookies, they haven't made quite enough yet to be able to upgrade my final spot. So that might take another 1 to 2 weeks. Let them make a little bit more cash, and then I can go up to my last midfielder, who I'm not sure who I'm going to get yet. There's a few people out there. All right, we'll go to the VC and C options. I've got Rory Laird versus the Suns. He doesn't have a great average against the Suns.
That's the midfield battle I was talking about with Borg.
Yeah, but lately he's been on a bit of a heater. He's been scoring very well, and I feel like the Suns are a team he could take advantage of. So I've put him there. They play in the last game on that Sunday. So it's basically, if you go in that game, it's him and Took, who they both don't average well against each other. So yeah, they're almost like a sneaky, but they've been playing well lately. So I've put him in the main ones. Next, Jackson McRae, 100. He averages 126 in his last 3 versus the Giants, and they play on Saturday night. Funny enough, there's a few people from that game. Josh Kelly's not one of them, Jack, unfortunately. But McRae, 126, has been a bit down the last few weeks. Hopefully the break has just relaxed him a little bit, and then he can come out firing again against the Giants. And it is in Sydney, though, so that is a bit scary if you want to go McRae. I've got Chris versus the Tigers. Obviously had that big score at the start of the season, but before that, his scores weren't massive, but they were good scores, and that was when he was injured. And they play on the Thursday night. So he could be a good get there. Next, I've put Tom Stewart in here, who averages 117 versus the Eagles. They play the twilight game on Saturday, so 4:35 on the Saturday. Should be back from the concussion, I believe. So
I did check the injury report for him, and it said he was available.
yep, so he'll come straight back in and could be a sneaky option there against West Coast.
Only problem is, will the ball go down there for him to get it?
This is true.
He's playing the bye.
And my captain for the week is Josh Dunkley. His last 3 games averages 143 versus the Giants. And I think that's because Matt DeBoer usually goes to McRae or Bond. So Dunkley just roams free. Obviously, I'm hoping Cripps goes big because Dunkley can get that 80 to 90 score.
Depending on his role.
But he can go that 140 plus. So, as I said, on the Saturday night, I've got Josh Dunkley as captain. We'll get into our roughies. And we were just talking about this guy offline, Jack. Zach Merritt versus the Saints. They play on the Friday night. The reason I've put him in is usually second half of the season, he's stronger. He finishes strong. And with Parrish, I'm pretty sure he's out this week. I'm not quite sure.
I'm not too sure.
I'm not quite sure. It might be like a 1 to 2 week thing, but with him out this week versus the Saints, who don't really tag, I think Merritt could potentially go 130 plus there. So he'll be a VC. Second roughie for this week is someone who was in this last week, and I think we all should have gone. Cogs, Stephen Cornelio. I said last week he has a new role, could go big, and he went 170. He's obviously versus the Dogs on the Saturday night. And yeah, with that new role, and Michael McVeigh coming out saying he sees him as a midfielder, so it looks like Cogs will just be full-time mid and then go rest forward here and there. He could be a great selection, and now he looks like a keeper, so that's one less trade we have to do. And the last one, in that same game, Jack, Adam Treloar. He usually just shows up against his old teams. Always shows up against Collingwood now. And he's proven against the Giants he goes to another level. Not the greatest 3-round average. It is over 100. I think it's about 110-ish. But could be someone, if they tag one of the other guys, could go big as well. So those are the VC and C options. I'm going Cripps into Dunkley, but that might change, but I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, we'll get into the Breakevens team, and then Jack can take us through the first game. So the Breakevens was the highest scoring team this week out of us two and that team. It scored 1,806 and moved down a few nice places, and is now ranked 26,763. Similar to most people, Butters and Brody with the 80 scores wasn't too bad. Owens, again, concussed with 26. And the man we brought in last week, Jack, Max only scored a 70. And now he's out for 3 to 5 weeks with syndesmosis.
They're saying 5 weeks, but it's listed as 3 to 5.
Yeah, so we have had a hard decision to make here. We're not 100% sure what to do trade-wise, but we were talking before. And what we sort of had would be a boost. Because we, funny enough, Jack, we have 2 boosts. So we have this one and then we have one more. So what we're looking to do is Max Gord out. We will move Tim English into the ruck. And we will get Harry Himmelberg in there. We will go Saligo down to Hollands. Roses down to Jai Cully from West Coast, mid forward 102k from the mid draft. I can see him possibly getting games there. And then we went Greg Clark, who, yes, he still has a bit of cash to come. But we've got him up to Rory Laird, which means we are technically a full primo side now. The only annoying thing is, yes, we're full primo, but we only have 4 trades left. And looking at our side, if there's no injuries, obviously, the only 2 we'd probably look at getting rid of would be Butters or Himmelberg, if they don't fire, but we have the trades there. So that's the Breakevens team. So we'll get into our round reviews. So Jack, you had the first game, which was the Port game, wasn't it?
Yes, Richmond versus Port, where Richmond for another week gave me a bloody heart attack. Don't know why, but the premiership quarter this year is the choke quarter. They did win by 12, thankfully, but that's a bit worrying with that third quarter. Getting onto the hot, Liam Baker, 112, best on ground. He is proving to be one little player. And I say little because of his height. He's a little man. Jaden Short, 102. And Jack Graham, 100. And for Port Adelaide, Travis Boak, 110. And Darcy Byrne-Jones, 102. Getting into the colds, I've been generous this week. With it being a low-scoring game, I haven't put the likes of Butters, Houston, and Wines, who scored 90s and high 80s, because any other game, that's a ton.
Yep.
So what I have put is Dusty with a 70, Shy Bolton with a 64 and 64 behinds for the match. Stephen Motlop, 19. I just thought that was very funny to see him playing the whole game to only score 19. And Trent Dumont did his calf and he's out for 1 to 2 weeks, which is not good for him. Going into the break-evens, I've gone Dan Houston's got a 103. You expect him to get that this week unless it's another low-scoring game. Ollie Wines, 121. Trav Boak, 76. Jack Graham, a 40. Dusty, 120, but he's out this week with illness. And Josh Gibcus, a 64 for anyone who has held him.
Yep.
And that's all.
Yep. So these round reviews will be a bit quicker because there's not that many rookies out, and as people we thought were primos, they might have dropped off. So I had the next game anyway, which was the Bombers versus Carlton. The Blues won by 26 points, pretty comfortable. Let's get into the hots for the Bombers. Dylan Shield, 139, absolutely went massive. Jordan Ridley turned up at 103. Dyson Heppel, 101. And Ben Hobbs, I know I said I wouldn't save, but he's been playing well. He's got an 83, but he can still go get fucked. As we move over to the Blues, Doherty, 139. Cripps, 126. Big Harry Mackay, 117. Adam Sarr, 109. Lewis Young, 106. Nick Newman, 101. And I've put Tom DeCott in here with a 92, played very well. And his brother Sam was in the rooms after the game, writing down notes. As we move over to the colds for the Bombers, Parrish with a 51. As I said, he's done a calf. Should be a couple weeks if he doesn't play this week. I don't know the full extent, but I know it was a calf. I think they said it might have been a corky. So there's that. And I like to put this guy in because he's an absolute dick. Jake Stringer, only a 35, sucked in. As we move to the Blues, This is stiff, but I'll tell you why. George Hewitt with a 97. The first time this year, he's gone under 100. He was one of only a few players to have turned up in every game that they've played this year, and now he's off that list, unfortunately. Sam
The
Walsh,
downfall for George Hewitt.
no, definitely not. Sam Walsh only 75. Caleb March back at 28, and he's torn his meniscus in his knee, so he's out for 4 to 6 weeks.
It was 6 to 8, wasn't it?
6 to 8. There you go. I wasn't sure, so I put 4 to 6 anyway. But 6 to 8, which is unfortunate because he's just come back after not playing for like 600 days or something. And Adam Chera scored 5. He did a hammy and he's out for 2 weeks because it was a grade 2 hamstring. To move over to the break-evens, Ben Hobbs, 29, Zach Merritt, 86, and Parrish, when he comes back, 158. As we move to the Blues, Boyd has 2, the defender, Doherty, 65, Cripps, 77, Hewitt, 118, and Sammy Walsh, 157. And that's it for that game. So, Jack, you'll take us through Freo versus the Hawks.
Yeah, and Freo won by 13, which was a scary one for him.
Yes.
Hawthorn, a second week in a row, had the lead and choked it at the end. Getting straight into the hots, Hayden Young had an absolute bloody blinder, 142 for the young man. Yep. Pretty sure he's a halfbacker. Very good game. Hamish Brayshaw's brother, Andy, scored 135. Caleb Sarong, the breakout king, is showing his breakout now. What's that? 3 weeks in a row over 110?
3 out of 4.
Yeah, and he scored 127. I was wrong about this one. I apologize. I had Freo and Luke Ryan actually turned up. He scored 119. Getting into the Hawks, O'Meara, 132. It's an interesting one. It looks like he's been playing forward.
Yeah.
Which it looks like the forward into the mid-roll suiting him better, and he's scoring better the last few weeks, which is a surprise, really. Less midfield minutes and scoring higher. And James Sicily, 116. Getting into the Colds, Blake Acres got injured. Will Brodie, 82. Very inefficient, but he did keep his role. Shrek Darcy, 91. And then going on to Hawthorn, Sam Frost got injured. Not quite sure what that was. Will Day, 26, after his big performance last week. And Tommy Mitchell, 81. Getting into the break-evens, the breakout king has a 47. Will Brodie, 119. Hamish's brother, Andy, a 70. Shrek Darcy, 173. And Sicily, 150. And that is all.
Awesome. So the next game, which was the Lions versus the Saints. The Lions won by 21 points, back on the winners list. And that they now move to top of the ladder because there's a game at the very end, which I was very excited for. That knocked Melbourne off the top. So the hots for the Lions, Lachie Neale, 123, was a tough one for those who had in VC. Do you take it? Do you not? Those like me who took Clary as the captain, and paid off there. The Suitcase, Hugh McCluggage, 120. Daniel Rich, 119, seems to be back to form. Jared Berry, 116. He's started to get some touch there. Same with Lions, 107. And Kitty Coleman, 99. His last couple of weeks have been very good. As we move over to the Saints, Brad Crouch, 129. Jack Sinclair, 118. And Josh Battle, 110. As we move to the Colts for the Lions, Zorko did a hammy. I'm not sure how many weeks on it, but he scored 53. Zach Bailey only scored a 49, and Darcy Gardner hurt his ribs and scored 39. As we move over to the Saints, the Colts, Rowan Marshall 54, and as we said, Owens, who got concussed, scored a 26. And the break evens for the Lions, Rich with a 57, Zorko when he comes back a 93, the Suitcase McCluggage 94, and Lockie Neal 159. And for the Saints, Owens negative 35, Windhager 46, and Sinclair with an 85. That's it for that game. So, Jack, you can move on to North Melbourne versus the Giants.
Getting into North Melbourne versus the Giants. Believe it or not, the Giants won, and it was by 49 points. Getting into the hot, so I'm starting with North Melbourne because it's going to be a lot quicker. We've got Luke Davies Uniac 132 and Todd Goldstein 104. Getting into the hots for the Giants, their whole fucking team pretty much. Harry Himmelberg 187, Emilio 174, Tanner Bruin 127, the Blue Moon King. Lockie Whitfield 118.
Fuck Lockie Whitfield.
Not happy. Tom Green 117. Isaac Cumming 115. Kellen Ward 114. Joshua Kelly 111. And Sam Taylor 101. All right, now give me a second to get my breath back. Getting into the colds. Got Toby Green with an 84. Harry Perryman got injured. Jason Horn-Francis got suspended for 2 weeks. Good, you dog. Don't touch jelly like that again. And I just had to put this in here because it's very funny. Jaden Stevenson scored 14 for the game, and he wasn't sub. Getting into the break evens, Aaron Hall 122. I didn't put him in the colds because a 94 in his first game back in a while is a very good score. But I didn't put him hot because it wasn't a hot performance.
Yep.
Isaac Cummings 72, Jelly 118, and Cogs 29. And that is all.
Jeez. I did forget to name someone for the captain choice. I don't know if you heard of him, Jack. T-Bye. The Bye. They played North Melbourne this week. I probably put them captain.
Yeah, look, it was tempting. I can't lie.
All right, so I had the last game and the best game of the round. The Mighty Pies versus the D's, the Big Freeze. The Pies won by 26. I watched most of the game. I missed the start. It was great to see that we continued Melbourne's losing streak. They were looking invincible. Jake Bowie had like 16 games in a row or something, was flying, and now he's lost 3 in a row, so sucked in. I'm saying this because we're still probably not going to make finals, but we beat Melbourne, so sucked in there. But no,
2 years in a row, eh?
Yep. It's just, the Big Freeze, they just can't handle the cold, Jack. They just can't handle it.
They can't handle the freeze.
So the hot pies here, Jack Chris 119, Nick Dacos 112. He seems to be picking up. This is a name I never thought I'd ever say. Big Mason Cox 109.
Give him the Brownlow now, and he's winning the Norm Smith.
So
robbed of the medal.
Yeah, he was absolutely robbed. He was coach's votes. he was rated a 10 out of 10. So best on. I saw a picture of a guy. He had money on Cox to win the medal. And unfortunately, Oliver got about 600 possessions and pipped him. But he would have won an absolute fortune. So Big Mason Cox 109, you'll have to see it. Maya Check 105 and Darcy Cameron another ton of 103. As we move over to the D's, as I just said, Clary Oliver 141 was a great choice for captain. James Jordan 135, Jack.
My king.
Jack Viney 126 had a good game. Somewhat interesting is Hamish's other brother Angus, who's got 126. He's got a 3-round average of 118. He seems to be doing
Where's
well.
Hamish at? Give us the big scores, Hamish.
He seems to be going off the half back a bit more, and it seems to be favouring him. So he could be a cheeky possible bench spot if you have the money.
I did see most marks or intercept marks or something like that, and the only person who has more than him is James Sicily.
Yeah. So yeah,
that just shows how well he's going.
Yeah, and that's where the bulk of his points are coming from. And Christian Salem, 104, second or third game back, and he's turned up, which is good to see because most people had him at the start of the season. As we move to the Colts, Christian Petraka, 99. Those who started with him when he scored that 170, you were flying, but he hasn't done much since that. Gordon with a 70, as we said, syndesmosis, 3 to 5 weeks, it says, more likely 5. And Keziah Pickett only scored a 30. As we move over to Collingwood, Jack's boy, Pat Lipinski, 78. Taylor Adams, 74. Pendle, 67. Jordan DeGoey, 62. Jeremy Howe, 45. And free kicks, Ginnivan, 31. As we move to the break evens, Nick Dacos, 8. So he's cash Jed's back. Darcy Cameron, 68. Pat Lipinski, 68 as well. Crisp, 94. And for the D's, Max Gordon, when he comes back, 84. Jackson, who people probably got to start to look to get in, we've gone out at 84 as well. Petraka, 113. And Oliver, 115. And that's all of the games for last week. Jack, do you have anything you want to add before we go through what's going to happen in the future and sign off?
I do not.
You do not? Awesome. So that will do us for tonight's podcast. Was there anyone in the break evens that we missed or someone you're looking to trade in? Let us know. And also, what is your rank and what are you looking to do trade wise? Trade Talk Tuesday is up. It was up, say, on the Wednesday, but it's there. Let us know what you guys are doing, what your rank is in there. That's on Twitter, and you can find us on Twitter at Breakevens Pod, or you can do it in YouTube comments. Just search the Breakevens, and we will be there. So, starting from next week, the podcast will be structured a little bit differently as the bye rounds are over, and most teams are basically full primo anyway, or they're that one person away. That means the break evens that we give you guys on players are basically irrelevant. So looking forward to next week, we'll still do our hot and colds, but there won't be as many people. It'll just be the tons and the primos that haven't scored well that week. That's all we will do. There won't be any rookies unless they turn up, obviously. And then there's going to be a few discussion-based points. Like if we did it this week, it'll be on Harry Himmelberg. What, do we trade him in because this new role? He's looking good. If Butters has another 80, do we get rid of Butters? Stuff like that. So We're still going to do our hot and cold, still going to do everything else the same, but the break evens will be gone, and it'll be more chatting about, what do we do with players. So look forward to that next week. But as always, thank you all again for your support and for listening on Apple Podcasts and on YouTube. As I said, don't forget to hit us up on Twitter at BreakEvensPod, or on YouTube, just search the Break Evens and you'll see our logo. So good luck for round 14, the last bye. Let's see how we go there. And on that note, as always, until next week, it's bye for now.
See ya.